Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the Bullpen. I'm Sean Wellhouse. Mike is here with me, and we are going to talk about all things Houston Astros. The Christian Walker era has officially began. What options are out there for the Astros in the relief pitching market, and who does Dana Brown say he wants to play left field? And it's not going to getting somebody. Let's talk about it right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk your back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right. And just like we never left, we are back in the bullpen. I'm Sean Wellhouse. You know where to find me at Sean Wellhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Find the show at Back to the Bullpen on Instagram, on YouTube, on iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcast. And my illustrious co-host, World Series champion co-host, Mike Stanton. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, there's only one place, and that's going to be on X, and it's Mike Stanton 29. Yeah, I'm not on all the other ones, but hey, you reach out to me there. I'll text you back if you got something you want to talk about.
Definitely, he will definitely do that. I can attest to that. That's why we are on the mic together, right? I mean,
that's right. That's right.
I walked up to you one day, said, "Hey, what's up, Mike?" And
who is this freaking guy?
Who's this guy? Mike, see something funny before we.
Not gonna lie, stalked me just a little bit, but it was
right. Right. Look, I do my best, and I come by it unashamedly, and Twitter proved me right. There is a thing you can do on Twitter. It's this viral thing where it basically tells you like what kind of person you are on Twitter, what kind of account you have, are you a positive guy? Are you this or that? And it gives you a friendly roast. And let me ask you, Mike, what your thoughts are on this friendly roast from this website for me. And I'm curious what yours would say. Now, you're not on there a whole lot.
I don't know if I want to look at mine.
This is actually pretty hilarious. Check this out. And this is talking about me. It says, you tweet about the Astros so much, I bet you sleep in orange and blue pajamas, which is not true. I don't. Your hatred for the Yankees is stronger than your coffee in the morning. You've probably named all your pets after Astros players. You spend more time defending the Houston Astros sports than sleeping. And your Twitter feed is basically an unofficial Astros news channel with the occasional dad jokes. What do you think?
It sounds like you to a T. I mean, can you dispute any of those? We really don't want to know what your sleeping habits are anyways. But, all the rest of it, hate the Yankees? Check. I mean, goodness. Yeah, I think that fits you right down to the shoes.
But you know what, though, Mike? I have not let the fact that you won 3 World Series titles with the Yankees, I have not let that come between us.
Yeah, but you know what? The jealousy is still there. We see it.
Oh man,
it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But hey, man, you had a great career. But while we were away, by the way, a late Merry Christmas.
Yeah, all that great career led me to you.
That's right. Wow, man. Yeah. Look, hey, you know what, Mike? It may not be a $30 million a year salary, but hey, I mean,
yeah, well, $30 that would work. Whatever.
I'll Venmo you $30 tonight.
Hey, I hope everyone out there had a healthy and very Merry Christmas. I hope Santa Claus came and everybody got everything that they wanted, and the new year right around the corner. 2025 is here.
I know. It's insane. And look, when we get to the new year, that will mark once we get to opening day, that will mark 1 year of the Back to the Bullpen podcast.
That's it. Yeah.
So that's really cool. I like that. That's our marker. But we started the Christian Walker era while we were away from the mic.
we did.
And Pete Alonso is yet to be signed. It's rumored that he's been offered a 3-year, $90 million deal from the Mets from Carlos Baerga. 3 years. I think he's probably looking for longer than that. But Christian Walker, three years in a row, he's won the Gold Glove. 3 years in a row, he's hit 30+ home runs. This is a guy that can win the Silver Slugger. This is the guy that can win the Gold Glove. And this is a guy that doesn't just hit home runs. He can hit for average. He can get on base. He's not slow. I'm not saying he's a speedster, but you got a pretty good actually the first time in a long time that we've had a first baseman that is a true power hitter.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Yuli did a great job years ago, but he was, he hit, 10 or 15 or home run, something like that. He was not a power hitter. Was a very good defensive first baseman coming over from third base. But yeah, I mean, I would have to go back. I'm not as up to date on Astros history as you are, but I mean, do you have to go all the way back to Bagwell before you have legitimate power Gold Glove first baseman?
Berkman was in the outfield, but didn't Berkman play some first towards the end there?
He played some, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Bagwell really, Glenn Davis, the big bopper.
That goes way back.
Yeah. So that's when I was a wee lad. Glenn Davis, man. And look, I remember I asked Jose Cruz, if you played at Minute Maid Park, would you have hit more home runs? And he's like, oh, buddy, you bet. I would have hit a lot more home runs.
Sure. Well, the Astrodome was, that was a Death Valley.
Yeah. It was a great pitcher's park.
That way it was, yeah. Well, it was one of the few even back then, but I'll tell you what, you had to hit it. And the crazy thing about Glenn Davis was, he hit like 28 or 30 home runs that last year with the Astros, and they thought he was going to go to Baltimore and he was going to hit 50. And the American League did not sit well with him. He did not come anywhere close to what he was supposed to do.
No, he didn't. And, but ballparks these days they're not the monstrosity ballparks that they used to be. They're not.
Yeah. But the one Christian Walker hit, that was not an easy, you could still hit home runs. It wasn't the Astrodome, but it also wasn't Minute Maid Park. But Christian, you gotta like the idea of him of having a very good defensive first baseman. You talked about the 3 Gold Gloves. He can drive the ball out of the ballpark. Also a great clubhouse guy. So, that's one of the things that the Astros have done over the years. It hasn't just been about bringing in, great ball players. It's also, making sure that he's going to be a fit in the clubhouse and be a leader in the clubhouse also. So, yeah, I thought, with the idea that Bregman is probably not coming back, I thought that Dana Brown and Jim Crane did a nice job of kind of switching gears and not just, putting all their eggs in the Bregman basket, because it didn't look like, it had gone so long that it really didn't seem like they were willing to up the offer to Bregman. Yeah.
And, Dana did say that, look, we had to move on. We had to move on at some point. We can't just stand pat. And look, Scott Boras even said, we know when teams are running from leadership and they're running from talent.
Oh yeah, he threw some daggers at the Astros.
Haymakers.
They did.
I'm like, okay, whatever. Oh, look, hey, I just look.
So really, Scott. So all you have to do is ask, and then teams just roll over like a puppy and show you your belly.
Well, okay.
I don't think Jim Crane and Dana Brown; those aren't the kind of guys that are going to do that.
Isn't Corbin Burns a Scott Boras client?
Isn't everybody a Scott Boras client?
Well, I'm not, so I'm not happy about that. I wish he was my agent. That's all I'll say. But Corbin Burns is asking for $245 million.
You can ask for whatever you want. Doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, though, he's had a couple really good seasons. He's one of the best right-handers in the sport.
Corbin Burns is phenomenal.
He's a workhorse as far as workhorse standards are now. You go back 15 years. Yeah. He's not, but that's the times have changed. But that's That's an awfully high price tag for somebody that is always one pitch away. And this is any pitcher, not just Corbin. One pitch away from blowing out and ending a career.
But see, here's the deal. Now you have Christian Walker at first base, the Astros. You have Paredes at third base. Both guys could hit 30-plus home runs with the Crawford boxes in left. You got your first base and your third base guys combining for 60 home runs. You haven't even put Altuve or even Yordan Alvarez in there. And then if Yainer Diaz hits for power, if Chas McCormick comes out of his shell and goes back to his 2022 form and hits 20 home runs, I'm just saying. I know our outfield is not the best right now, but, and it looks like Dana Brown's kind of said, he's not named him the left fielder, but he said DeCenzo is going to have an opportunity in spring training to be one of our left fielders, because
going to have to earn it. He's going to have to earn it. He's going to, I mean, and rightly so, he should get a good look. But we'll have to wait and see, how he reacts, when pitchers start making adjustments. Can he make adjustments back? Is there going to be enough contact? That's always a question with everyone. So, we'll have to wait and see. Now, if somebody, you get closer to spring training and all of a sudden we know what happens in free agency. Once the new year, we turn over to 2025, price tags start coming down. There's still a lot of free agents out there. There's still a lot of very good baseball players out there. So
there are.
I understand Dana's talking and I think he means what he's saying, but does that mean he can't change his mind? Of course not.
Right.
But you get to February and all of a sudden you can get a guy that, 25 home run power and a solid left fielder for, a song and a dance. That may change the mind of the Astros organization.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I forgot to mention that I thought was very important was when Christian Walker, in his press conference, when he was being asked the questions from the media, he said, "I'm excited that I get to come play with future Hall of Famer Jose Altuve and learn from him." Now, I have not heard a single free agent come into this town and address Jose Altuve as future Hall of Famer Jose Altuve. I was like, that guy right there, he just earned some brownie points in the club.
Well, you know what that means is he's done his homework.
100%.
He knows who the face of the franchise is. He knows, they've played the Astros. Maybe they've heard the broadcast, Blummer and Todd talking about, how, he already is the best player the Astros have ever had.
Yeah.
But for him to be able to say that also means that he knows how to, I don't want to say play the game, but he knows what's important. And we know that Jose Altuve means, kind of everything to this organization.
And I've heard he brings a leadership ability to the clubhouse. He even said he looks forward to working with the coaching staff. He understands what
he said all the right things. He said everything he's supposed to say. I mean, yes. The crazy thing is, this isn't this is actually a pretty team-friendly contract.
100%.
This is not. I mean, you're talking about a 30 home run Gold Glove first baseman.
And paid $20 million a year. That's
yeah.
That's
now there are some bonuses in there and stuff like that, but that's a pretty reasonable price. When you're talking about, like you were just talking about, Corbin Burns, yes, one of the best right-handers in all of baseball, but looking for over $200 million.
Yeah.
Bregman looking for, over $200 million. So I look at that contract and it's not even a really long-term contract, because we also know Jim Crane doesn't like signing players for, a crazy amount of time.
Exactly. Now, real quick, back into this outfield thing before we delve into if you think the Astros, and we'll just kind of reiterate some things about whether you think they'll sign somebody or not. We do have Melton in AAA. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be ready opening day, but Dana Brown did say, look, we get spring training, the young guys could surprise us.
Sure.
They've done that. The Corey Julks jumped to the 26-man roster to everybody's surprise. Everybody thought that Thought that oh gosh, what was his name? Justin Dearden was gonna be the guy. He didn't end up being the guy. But is there a possibility that a Jacob Melton could make his way onto this 26-man roster? Or do you think they're not? I mean, since they're looking at DeCenzo, they're not looking at anybody else proving themselves only in spring training, that they'll let those guys marinate a little bit longer?
I think the better way to put it is, what are the odds?
Okay.
Because there's always a chance,
Right.
You go back to the old Dumb and Dumber line. So what happened to all that 1 in a million talk? There's always a shot, and because you never know what kind of injuries there's going to be. I mean, is he a long shot to make the opening day roster? Probably. I mean, let's just be honest. But that doesn't mean that there's not any chance whatsoever, because you don't know what's going to happen. They don't. Dana Brown, is okay with the outfield the way it is. You get to spring training, you have a few injuries. Now all of a sudden, I mean, look at the pitching staff last year. I mean, did you really think that Spencer Arrighetti was going to be one of the, a postseason starter? No, there's no freaking way you thought that in spring training.
Right.
But so you never know what's going to happen. But if everything goes as planned, probably not for Milton.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. So with it getting into January and with nobody signing, if nobody signs between now and the 31st of December, then there are names out there, and I've listed them several times, just in social media, throughout Locked On and stuff like that. I love Jurickson Profar. I know he wants a 2 or 3 year deal. His one really good season this last year seems to be an outlier if you take all his seasons combined. But the thing I like about Profar, he's tall, he's athletic. The dude is muscular. He doesn't get injured a lot. He's just underperformed, because when he came up with the Rangers, when Nomar Mazara came up with the Rangers, those two guys were like, I remember seeing Nomar Mazara.
Untouchables.
Yeah.
They were they truly were untouchable.
Yeah. No, you were just like, oh my gosh, these guys are going to be superstars.
And Profar was an untouchable for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
I want to know what Tall has to do with this. Why has Tall got anything to do with this?
Well, he's got this lean frame.
Are you saying you're height challenged?
Hey, I'm 5'8.5". Okay. Most of my 7th graders are taller. I've got 2 basketball players on my girls' basketball team.
You're like my 3-year-old grandson telling me how old he is.
Hey, I don't take away the half, because God gave it to me. Okay. And even if I shrink to 5,
the question is that with the hat on or without the hat? Inquiring minds want to know.
I've never been measured with my hat on, but I will say this: when I did play men's volleyball in college, my coach listed me at 5'11". I should just tell everybody that I'm 5'11". No, he had to up our average height.
Volleyball in college, men's volleyball in college.
I played men's volleyball in college. Yes, sir.
I mean, was that
17th in the country? Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We were one of the top teams in the state of Texas for men's club volleyball.
There you go, men's club volleyball.
We played A&M. We played UT. We played
The real question is,
yes,
did the other guys like their water warm or did they like it cold?
Man, I'm telling you, dude, I played against Colorado State, Johns Hopkins, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Arizona State.
All right.
And one of my friends I grew up with actually was out there. I didn't know he was playing. I saw his name at Park College, which was in Chicago. He actually went on to play in the AVP tour for about 5 or 6 years. So that was pretty cool.
I don't know what the AVP is.
AVP is professional beach volleyball, Mike. Come on, Mike.
Okay.
He's like, I'm a Major League Baseball player. I don't know what AVP is. Is that pickleball?
I like the way you threw the club name in there after we had discussed it for a couple minutes.
All I know is Mama Wheelhouse is loving this. She is loving this. Why do I need to bring up a Twitter roast when I got Mike here?
That's right.
Jeez Louise. All right, let's talk about these other guys. You got guys like Mark Hanna, Verdugo, Pham, Winker, Duvall, Peralta. They don't really do anything for me. And I kind of understand Dana's take on this, and a lot of people disagreeing with it. But if you're going to go out and get a budget person, a veteran, I mean, your outfield's already not great. You're not going to make it that much greater by signing one of these guys unless you're going to just go out on a limb and get Anthony out of Baltimore. I'm not going to say his last name because I keep getting roasted on that. And then
Santander.
Yes. Dude, no, I say it the way they tell me to say it, and then I get corrected in the comment section. So whatever. Sir Anthony is what I'm going to call him. And that's not Anthony Rendon. But him and Teoscar Hernandez, I think, would be great additions to this team. But they come with a much higher price tag.
Oh, sure.
And so I think at the trade deadline, Mike, I think if you're competing, you like your position. I don't know who you would trade, but maybe they look adding someone then. I don't know.
Well, I think that when you look at the situation that they're in right now, I think that, Dana's okay with where they are. Do I think that there are more moves? Of course, there's more moves. There's always going to be more moves, or at least the chance of more moves. Because like I said, once you turn over in the new year, now players are all of a sudden, you know what? I want to know where I'm going, and price tags start to come down. This is a proven fact over the years in free agency. So, you want to leave yourself open with the idea of potentially bringing someone else in. But of course, you're going to say the same things, because even if they were sold that they were going to bring in somebody for left field, it's all a negotiation. They don't want to go out there. So, we have to have a veteran for left field. Now, all of a sudden, price tags don't fall as much. So
that's true.
There's all a negotiation here. It's all a ploy. It's all, it's just part of the play in the game that is free agency. But, it's got to be the right person. It's got to be the right person on the field. It's got to be the right person in the clubhouse. It's got to be the right person in the community, because, that's what the Houston Astros fans expect from this organization.
Yeah. Now here's an idea, and Mario brings up, I've seen this mentioned other places too. Trade Presley for center fielder Cedric Mullins straight up. Both of them have 1 year left. Both of them have around $14 million. You're just trading contract for a contract and a guy that's going to walk. Now, I mean, I don't know. Do the Astros, that doesn't help their money situation. Would Cedric Mullins fit in this clubhouse? Look, quite honestly, I've been wanting to ask you this a lot about Ryan Presley. Now, I don't know him personally. I've never had a personal conversation with him. So all I can get is a pulse of what's happened to him, where I feel like it was a demotion. He was the closer.
I think he feels like it was a demotion.
Right. And then all you hear this offseason is Presley's up for trade. So going into this next season, if he's not traded, does Presley have it in his mind that he's going to play pissed off and he's going to kill it? So when he's out of this $14 million contract, he can sign with another team. Does it have possibility to affect him mentally where he doesn't perform as well? I mean, where does a guy like that go? He kind of is kind of a lame duck situation, it seems like.
Well, I mean, listen, we know that all players have the ability to increase their production, whether it's offensively, pitching, whatever, on contract years. Okay.
Right.
I felt like that. I hoped that, going into the regular season last year, after having all spring training with Josh Hader and having the idea that, he was no longer the closer, that he was going to be able to deal with it. And I can't definitively say that he had problems. It did look like at times he did. But I think that, what happened more than anything else was, Presley had an okay year last year. He didn't have a great year. He does have a high price tag. He's being paid as a closer, and he's not going to be a closer. And so unless Josh got injured or something like that, which Josh has been remarkably healthy in his career.
Yeah.
I think the problem that the Orioles or any other team would have is the Astros the rumor has been they've been trying to move him. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the value isn't there. The question is, why are you trying to move him? Is it just to save $14 million, or is there some other reason? And whenever you have questions, the asking price on the other side is affected. And so, the trade we were just talking about with Cedric Mullins, is that a straight up trade? Is that something that both sides would agree? I mean, I don't know. I would have to look deeper into the numbers, but to get a non-closing reliever, which that's what Presley is right now for an everyday starting center fielder on face value. I don't know if that's a straight up a good trade, regardless of what the price tags are.
So Cedric Mullins is going to be getting $8.42 million in 2025. It's his third ARB, so he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. So he's due his big contract, right? I don't see this last year what he did. I mean, man, 233 and 234 the last 2 years in a row. OPS, in 2021, his OPS was 878. He hit almost 300. He had 30 home runs.
Yeah.
He had that great breakout year, but since then he hasn't hit over 20 home runs. And so are you getting
what was his OPS last year, if you're looking at it?
His OPS last year was 710.
Okay, so well below big league average. Big league average is usually between 750 and 775. Yes, he's coming with a not quite half, but half the price tag of Presley. I mean, could that be, could a change of scenery? Even though Baltimore is a pretty good hitting ballpark, it's not quite as good as Minute Maid. Change of sceneries can help. So I mean, you look at it, and here's what you do: you take the information you have, you make your decision, and you move on. And if that's something that Dana Brown could really, kind of sink his teeth into, and he feels like, even if he's not a 2021 player in Cedric Mullins, that he's okay at 2022. I mean, do you like him better than Presley or Myers? I mean, both of those guys are pretty good defensively. I mean, so, or is that the same type player you're looking at?
Yeah, you're kind of trading because of his production. Now, if you compare ceiling to ceiling, like the highest to high, the best of the best, well, then Cedric's clearly the better player, but that's not how you evaluate players.
Well, and you also got to remember, he's 2 years removed from doing that.
Exactly.
I mean, there's not very many guys that can do what Cody Bellinger had done. Stink it up for 2.5, 3 years, and then all of a sudden turn it back around for 2 years with the Cubs. I mean, and to tell you the truth, I still remember how I felt when Cody Bellinger was leaving the Dodgers. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way he could do it. So, I think there's a chance with Cody and the Yankees that he can be a freaking monster, because he's not going to have to be one of the guys you put him in the 6 hole. He's going to have RBI opportunities all over the place. I could also see, it's not a stretch for me to see him struggling. So you just really don't know.
Exactly. So before we move on to relief pitchers, because I want to throw some names at you, tell me what you think of them. We got to make sure that we let our people know that state-of-the-art barbershop brings us back to the bullpen. And if you go to them to Evercruise at 1616 South Friendswood Drive, they got some new barbers in. And let me tell you, they are the coolest people. You go in there, you can chat it up. They can get you cleaned up and ready for that board meeting the next day, or that date that you're going to go on, or that club volleyball game that you're going to play in, or that MLB alumni meeting that you're going to go to with all the really cool real stars. So check them out. Tell them that Back to the Bullpen sent you, get 10% off your haircut. Make sure you scan the barcode, you scan the QR code, get your Back to the Bullpen shirt like Mike and I have. Mike, I was going to tell you, I don't know if you saw the tweet. I had a student walk up to me in school, and he just did like this, and he had the Back to the Bullpen.
Yeah, he did.
And so, someone's like, give that kid an A+. And I'm like, well, he actually is a straight A student. I don't need to give him anything. He's a really smart kid, but especially
late Christmas present.
Late Christmas present. Hey, a New Year's present. New year, new you, Hey man, I'm down to 248, dude. I'm shedding the pounds. I'm hitting the
He
weight.
is svelte right now.
That's right. I'm gonna go for the XL instead of the 2X next time, baby. So Mike, let's get into this. You know, we've got some interesting names out there. A lot of the names don't excite me because of their age, like 39, 38. So
yeah.
I'm just going to go down to the guys where it starts about 34 years old. And the first name I come to is Paul Sewald. Now, I know Paul Sewald was a closer, and I think he probably will command a decent price tag because of his body of work. And so I automatically think he's probably not an option. But you have Andrew Chafin, who is pretty known. You have some former Astros. You have Ryan Stanek. You have Phil Matan out there, which I don't think the Astros go back and get. Or Ryan Yarbrough. And my favorite name to mention, and I hope he becomes a Houston Astro, is AJ Minter. I think AJ Minter, Mike, has been phenomenal. This guy's 31 and he's a lefty. He's 31 years old.
Yeah.
He avoided arbitration. He got his $6.2 million for 2024, unrestricted free agent. But I like his body of work. I like that he's been around a winning ball club. A name like that to me gets me excited. And if he can stay healthy and play, he can get you near 100 strikeouts. He can post about 70 innings on the high side. What do you think about guys like that, pitchers like that, to come in and help this Astros bullpen, which boasts Hader, Abreu, Presley, Scott, King, Ort, Whitley, and Dubin right now as projected?
So I think what has to happen is you have to figure out what you're going to do with Presley first.
Okay.
Because like I said, that's $14 million.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, to bring in a guy like Minter, and one of the things you have to remember about AJ has not pitched well against the Astros. And a lot of times that has something to do with it. Maybe not a lot, but, you know, when you bring up the name, you know, the Astros beat him up. Was it in the World Series?
I believe so.
I think it was in the World Series. They beat him up pretty good a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, you know, the organization or people in the organization or even fans, they kind of remember that. And you look at the numbers and you go, oh, okay, you had a really good season. Yeah, but you know, there's always that but. But I think if you're going to bring in somebody for like an AJ that's going to, you know, be a pretty good price tag, I think you have to figure out what you're going to do with Presley, and then you have to compare them. Well, are we better off with keeping Presley at $14 million, which that money's already spent?
Yeah,
you know, he's got the contract. He hasn't been written the checks yet, but the money's already spent. Or, you know, can we add another 6 because they have a very high-priced bullpen the way it sits right now.
True.
You know, with Hader, with Presley, Abreu is going to get paid more. You know, there's some dollars down there. I think you have to figure out what you're going to do, and it may end up being, I don't want to say more of a bargain, but guys that aren't, you know, pulling quite as high a salary on the free agent market.
See, I think you can pull someone like a Scott Barlow. And what is interesting to me about Scott Barlow is he was very successful in Kansas City. And he then got traded to San Diego. Then he got traded to Cleveland. And he didn't have as much success in those two places. Yeah. His ERA doubled. But his last 2 years in KC, 2.18, a whip of 1, and 2.42 and a whip of 1.2. And he had his highest WAR, 2.78 and 2.80. He has the potential there. 91 strikeouts and 74 innings pitched in 2020.
Yeah, we know the Astros love strikeouts in the pen. They love them.
So guys like that. And I think there's plenty of arms. I mean, if you look out there, it's like there's an overabundance of relief pitchers on the free agency market. I know
this all too well.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the thing. We are probably a good month away from the reliever market really materializing. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be guys here and there that are going to be signed, but as far as taking, you know, 4 or 5 guys off in a short period of time, there's still too many position players. There's still too many places on all the rosters, holes that they're trying to fill. A lot of times relievers are looked at as maybe a little bit more of a luxury. Now, I think they're a little more important now than they were, 15, 20 years ago, because then the emphasis was still on starting pitching. I think bullpens are more important now, but I still think that, there's bigger fish to fry right now. When you have that many names that you just went over, you have that many names on the books that you're looking at, there's just no real hurry in order to bring one in. That, the dirty word in this situation, I've said this before when you're talking about free agency, is patience. That, everybody's market materializes in a different time, and you have to be patient to wait for your time. It'll happen, but, sometimes it happens in November, sometimes it happens in January. Heck, we've seen it go all the way into spring training, and you don't wish that on anybody, because everybody wants to get into camp and get ready for the regular season. But those markets materialize at a different rate.
Exactly. So the Astros, and I haven't gotten your thoughts on this. They also, in the Kyle Tucker trade, got Wisniewski, who's from Cy-Fair,
right?
Local product. He said it was a dream come true. He watched Astros growing up,
right?
And this kid can both start and he can relief pitch. They want to make him into a starter. If there's any club, I think, in Major League Baseball that can put a guy where they want him to be if they see potential, it seems like the Astros do a pretty good job of developing them. What's it going to take to get a guy like that up to starter speed? Are they going to, can he be built up in spring training since he's already been a starter?
Sure.
Or is it going to be a longer process?
No, I don't think there's a process at all. It's a matter of what kind of command is he going to have of 3 pitches. Is he going to be able to handle the workload? Because I think about half of his appearances in big leagues has been as a starting pitcher. So I don't think you have to really worry about a buildup or anything like that.
Good
and,
deal.
And they've already said that they want to take a look at him in the rotation. So I'm sure this offseason, his throwing program, which is probably already started, if not, it's starting immediately, is with that preparation in mind, to build that pitch count, to build that arm strength, to get the work in, to handle the workload of being a starter in Major League Baseball. But we'll have to wait and see. It's all going to be about performance. It's not, nobody's going to be given anything. And the Astros rotation is in pretty good position right now. It's not in a great position. You still have a couple guys coming back from injuries,
right?
But there could be a spot for him to fill in until one of the other guys come back, and you'll have to wait and see. Like I said, Spencer Arrighetti, did we really think that Spencer Arrighetti was going to get, over 20 starts in the big leagues? No, we had no chance. Even when he came up, I didn't think he was ready. Now, I thought he did an outstanding job of developing at the big league level, because that is not easy to do. And he ended up having a very good year for the Astros. But I don't think you can really look at that as being the norm. I think that's more of an outlier.
Yeah, exactly. So Luis Garcia is listed as one of the starting pitchers in Fangraphs in their projections. I was talking to a friend of mine who does some, he doesn't do official scouting, but he's all into the minor leagues. He knows a lot more about it than I do. My friend Mark, and he said, look, I honestly don't expect Luis to really be firing on all cylinders to around May. And he said, if that's the case, this Wisniewski kid will compete, because if he competes for it, you would have Valdez, Brown, and Blanco. Then you'd have Arrighetti. Then you would have Wisniewski. You also have Urian Gusto, who was supposed to make a start at the end of last season. And you've got some others. And there's a name, and we can deep dive into the relief prospects later on, because I want to share some intel with you later that I got from Astros Future. But apparently Logan Van Way is a kid that they're expecting to be up and really help this bullpen this year. So the relief pitching help may not be as dire, but as we saw last year, you can never have enough arms, especially in this day and time.
Well, especially when you're talking about guys that you don't know. Reynel Blanco threw way more innings than he ever had in his
100%.
career. Hunter Brown, same thing. I mean, you know, do you feel pretty good about them going into the season? Yes, you do. Um, but there's also always that, that little bug in your ear, saying, what if? And we saw, the Astros lost 60% of their rotation in 2 days last year. And it was incredible that they did what they were able to do, with Spencer coming up and Blanco just having an incredible first half.
Yeah.
Can you count on that? That's the question. And I don't know if you can. I mean, the way I look at it, Spencer Arrighetti, Hunter Brown, after the first 6 weeks, I mean, can you expect them to do the same thing? I don't think it's reasonable to think they can, but how about 80%, 85%? If they do that, you're still in pretty good shape. I just don't think, the person that always comes to mind is Doc Gooden. When Doc Gooden came up at 19 years old, at 20 years old, he was the best pitcher in the National League. And I was, he's going to do nothing to get better. No, he wasn't. I mean, he was striking over 300 guys. He wasn't going to get any better. There was only one place for him to go.
It was down.
It was down. And, so to think that, one of these guys can just continue to get better. There's, again, percentage wise, there's always a chance. But I think, you realistically, you want to think of it and look at that as more as a plateau,
right?
If they can just maintain that.
And that brings me to my last point that I want to talk about with Fromber Valdez. They made a hard turn to boom. We're trying to trade him to, we're not trading him. And I think that this is to me a sign to the fan base and to the club. We are going in to win in 2025. Mm-hmm. If they would have traded, if you would have lost Fromber and Bregman and Tucker all in the same season, that just doesn't send positive vibes throughout the clubhouse. I think that if Fromber comes out and does well this season, that the Astros may be able to bring him back. I think that they're going to try to sign him, but most Astros signings happen in the spring. They don't happen mid-season.
Yeah.
And it would have to be after this season or before the season starts for them to do that. I don't think they surprise us this year. Maybe they buy out his last year. I don't know. But, Mike, what are your thoughts on Framber Valdez? Do you think, what are the chances of him staying longer? I originally thought they were just going to trade him to get the value, but I think he stays, and I think he might be one of the pitchers they pay because he's your best veteran pitcher, and you can't find 180, 200 inning guys out there. They're not falling off trees.
Yeah, and the problem is he's going to get paid like one of those guys. I think if you were going to sign him long-term, the time to do it was before last season. You don't wait till the last season because there's really no benefit to Fromber or any other pitcher or a player at this point, less than 12 months away from being a free agent. You've waited this long. Why don't you just keep on waiting? We also know that Jim Crane does not like to sign pitchers to long-term deals.
He doesn't. You're right.
The longest term deal it has been Lance McCullers Jr., and we're still waiting for that one to come to fruition. So I don't think that they sign Fromber. I think that Fromber is going to be looking to get paid as he should. I think that there's a chance, depending on where they are in the standings of what's going on, that may be a move that you make at the trade deadline. I think that you're right that if you lose Bregman, you trade Tucker, you trade Fromber all this offseason, that is not a good look for the team going forward. That's not, when you're right in the middle of trying to sell season tickets, that's really not the way to promote the team. And I think you go into the regular season with Fromber as your number one and you see what happens. But if Fromber has another solid season, he doesn't have to have a great season, but he has another solid season, dude is going to be looking for Corbin Burns money.
Wow. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Mike with the
He's gonna look to get paid. Now, Is it $200 million? Well, like I said, you can ask for whatever you want. Doesn't mean you're gonna get it. But he's gonna be looking for a long-term deal, probably 5 or 6 years, and he's gonna be looking for, I would probably say 25 per.
Wow. Well, it's been a fun ride as we say au revoir to. I'm joking. But seriously, this has been a great conversation, man. Let's get together next week. Let's say, it might be before, maybe after the new year, but let's just see where we're at.
There's probably not going to be a whole lot of movement going on right now. This is, even though you're right in the heart of free agency, this week between Christmas and free agency the Christmas and the New Year, things kind of shut down a little bit in Major League Baseball. So not completely. There'll still be a signing here or there, but there's not going to be a whole lot going on right now.
Yeah, definitely. I hear you. But yeah, we'll definitely come back when news breaks in during the season. We are going to be back here on the mic. Mike and I've got some things I'm talking to Mike about, some opportunities that you may be able to see us outside or off of the screen and maybe in person, working on some things there. So I'm excited about this next year. I'm excited. Had a great Christmas. I'm glad you and your family had a great Christmas, and everybody. Look, if we don't talk to y'all before the new year, we will see y'all next year.
Yes. Everybody have a happy and safe new year. 2025 seems like it's going to be another great season. Going to be a little roller coaster for the Astros. Hopefully not as big of a roller coaster as it was last year, even though it ended on a pretty high note with the way the regular season ended. But yes, everybody happy and safe new year.
Definitely. Y'all have a good one. I'm H.O. Wellhouse, and this is another session where we took it back to the bullpen.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk your back